Over in New York, signs have been appearing with pictures, wanted pictures of CEOs with Brian Thompson's face crossed out because, of course, he has been. Here is some footage of wanted posters of various members of the healthcare industry. Again, wanted posters with their faces on them, presumably to be murdered.
Do you see this? Deny, defend, oppose at the bottom of it?
Again, these are insane. Insane. Okay, now, how widespread is this sentiment? Well, I mean, it's widespread enough that it has made its way over into the political segment of the body politic, the overtly political. You have the cultural commentators who are sort of tangentially interested in the issue to the extent that they don't know enough about it to say. And then you have people whose actual profession is to supposedly understand the issues, being gleeful about the murder. Joy Reid, again, the least joyful person ever to be named Joy, and that includes Joy Behar. She is gleeful that people are supporting the United Health CEO's alleged shooter.
Something a bit unexpected has happened following the murder. A reaction not of universal horror that a 50-year-old father of two and husband was shot dead in public, but rather of, and I don't want to call it glee, but let's just say not unhappiness, especially online, where the internet sleuths who often dedicate themselves to tracking down people accused of racist behavior in public places, criminals, including January 6 fugitives and more, have been actively refusing to help. Donald Trump Jr., son of our incoming ruler, went on his ex-Twitter page and did the patented internet do your thing post. And the reaction was mostly, yeah, no. Other popular conservatives like Ben Shapiro and anti-woman zealot Matt Walsh saw their mentions go up in flames when they tried to attack quote-unquote evil liberals for celebrating the murder of a CEO, with some of their supporters replying that they had gotten it wrong. Indeed, instead of universal condemnation, what we have seen and many of us have heard both on and offline has been a barrage of stories of Americans' awful experiences with insurance companies. Stories of claims denied, of people who've gotten sicker or even died because insurance companies like United refused to pay claims. Let's just be clear, there's a real hatred for these companies that is unfurling on social media right now and also in real life too.
Okay, and part of the reason for that hatred is because you have suggested no proper solutions. By the way, Obamacare was supposed to solve all this, remember? Lefties, come get your boy. Barack Obama, that guy was supposed to have fixed health care, you recall, and it got worse because of the subsidization and overregulation. Meanwhile, the White House refuses to answer if the Biden administration disagrees with the alleged shooter's reported manifesto regarding, quote unquote, profit over people, which again has been a talking point of the left for a very long time. The suggestion that the profit margin is really the problem in the healthcare industry. As we went through with regard to the charts, there are a wide variety of healthcare systems. When it comes to spending per capita, the bottom line is that as income goes up, so does healthcare spending. It's just a reality. Okay, but the White House, again, has been playing this ugly game. Democrats have been playing this ugly game as long as I'm alive, that the reason healthcare is bad in the United States, or worse than it should be in the United States, is because of those greedy healthcare executives. It is amazing, by the way, that this logic is never, ever applied to literally any other area of human life. Nobody ever says, the NBA could be even better if they paid LeBron James less. Nobody ever says that. It's only with regard to healthcare and other areas that the left cares about that suddenly the profit margin becomes bad. Nobody ever suggests that Bill Burr should make less money in his comedy because obviously the profit margin in his comedy is what is driving, it's making his comedy worse. Here is Karine Jean-Pierre refusing to condemn the idea that the United Healthcare CEO, that the reason United Healthcare denies too many claims is because of their profit margins.
What would you say to Americans who might sympathize with Luigi Mangioni's purported manifesto indicating that insurance companies ultimately care more about their profits than the health of their customers?
So
is that premise is that premise accurate in any way?
So let me just say at the top, offer up certainly our condolences to the victims and his loved ones. We are certainly tracking the latest regarding this deadly shooting.
So I'd be avoiding the question, obviously. By the way, it's not just Karine Jean-Pierre and the White House. It's also Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren is such a disappointment of a human being. Let's talk about something that affects pretty much all of us. That would be taxes. The October 15th deadline It's passed. Are you prepared for what could come next? Do you owe back taxes? Are your tax returns still unfiled? Did you miss the deadline to file for an extension? Well, now that October 15th is behind us, the IRS may be ramping up enforcement. Let me tell you, they don't play around. You could face wage garnishments, frozen bank accounts, even property seizures if you haven't taken action yet. There's good news. There's still hope. Tax Network USA has been in the game for years. They know exactly how to navigate the complex world of tax law. They've helped taxpayers save over $1 billion in tax debt. They've filed over 10,000 tax returns. That's billion with a B, folks. They specialize in helping hardworking Americans like you reduce their tax burdens. So don't let the IRS catch you off guard. Get ahead of this right now with Tax Network USA. Their team of professionals will work tirelessly to protect your assets and find the best solution for your unique situation. Here's what you should do. For a complimentary consultation, call today 1-800-958-1000 or visit their website at tnusa.com/Shapiro. That's 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/Shapiro today. Do not let the IRS take advantage of you. Get the help you need with Tax Network USA. So I knew Elizabeth Warren back when she was a torts professor at Harvard Law. She was there at the same time that I was. She was a teacher, obviously, and I was a student. And Elizabeth Warren was not a nut job at that point, but she clearly has had too much of the Bernie Sanders Kool-Aid. She said, quote, "This is a warning that if you push people hard enough, they lose faith in the ability of their government to make change. Violence is never the answer, but people can be pushed only so far." But I have a question. You're a sitting senator from Massachusetts. You're a sitting senator from Massachusetts. It seems like you might have something to do with this a little bit. So I have a question. If they're frustrated with the system, are they allowed to assassinate you? The answer, of course, is no, nor should it be yes. And nobody should be making a but about that point. But when it comes to the left, they make that point all the damn time. There's a piece over at Politico trying to explain what exactly is going on over here. Joshua Zeitz is a Politico magazine contributing writer, and he has a piece talking about a particular theory called social banditry. He traces that to the Marxist scholar Eric Hobsbawm in 1959. He suggested that social bandits were sometimes fictional, sometimes real figures who operated outside of the law and were widely revered for their efforts to mete out justice in an unjust world, like Robin Hood, for example. Hobsbawm's theory, which historians continue to debate, rested on a fairly specific Marxian analysis of power and economic relationships in agrarian societies, but such characters transcended different geographies and times, ranging from the fictional Robin Hood in 14th century England to brutally violent real-life outlaws like Jesse James and Billy the Kid in the post-Civil War era United States to Pancho Villa in the early 20th century Mexico. So what exactly is the theory? Well, the theory basically suggests that social banditry attracts popular attention and support in rural environments where the state is weak, where peasants' long-standing prerogatives were eroding in the face of economic change, and where inequality was rampant. So that means that if you then commit individual acts of violence, you are rebelling against some sort of evil system. The problem, of course, is that that is not how the United States works. The reality is that while people might be large-scale upset with insurance companies, and I think for some good reasons because of the regulatory environment, the basic Marxian idea, which is that violence is now justified in a democratic republic because you don't like how a company is doing its business. That is, in fact, as most Marxist materialism is, wrong and also morally wrong. Yeah, the argument here is that we don't have effective government with regard to this stuff, and that's why things aren't changing. Well, we have more regulation on the healthcare industry than virtually any other industry in the United States. We have more subsidization of the healthcare industry than literally any industry in the United States, bar none. Medicare and Medicaid comprise a huge chunk of our budget every single year in the United States. And that's leaving aside state costs. But this basic idea, and it does tear apart the country, is the idea the system is so broken that individual murder is the solution to the system. You shouldn't tolerate that particular argument when it comes to the supposed racial injustice of the United States. You should not tolerate that argument when it comes to the economic system of the United States. And you shouldn't tolerate that argument when it comes to the health system of the United States either. Again, no one is denying people's bad feelings about health insurance companies, many of which, again, I think are fully understandable. But the extension of that to, I now have sympathy with the murder of the CEO is a step beyond, and it has no limiting principle at all. It's truly ugly. Okay, meanwhile, the Daniel Penny trial is now over. The fallout, of course, is not. The left is super upset over Daniel Penny's acquittal. So Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez had the dumbest take of the day, predictably, since she's not a particularly smart human being. She suggested that people who ride subways should fear Daniel Penny, which is a hell of a statement considering that he literally saved subway riders from a highly drug-addled, deeply mentally ill, violent, threatening homeless person. Here's Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez finding the stupidest possible take.
Essentially said that he would do it again if necessary, if there was a present threat. What do you make of the comments?
Well, doesn't that, I just feel like that tells us everything. If we do not want violence on our subways, and the point of our justice system is a level of accountability to prevent a person who does not have remorse about taking another person's life. I mean, even people who have engaged in manslaughter or have taken a life accidentally express remorse. And so the fact that a person may express no remorse indicates that there's a risk that it may happen again. And if we do not want to unleash that level of violence, then we should exert a level of accountability to prevent that from happening again.
So apparently he should have been remorseful for attempting to stop a guy who was shouting that he was going to kill everyone on the subway. He should express remorse for that. Are you tired of the lies and the twists of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.